Happy Friday to everyone. Betting Weekly Live with myself, Steve Wyss, and I'm with Jack Wright, Premier League handicapper, is with me today. How are you doing, Jackie?
I'm doing very well, mate. I'm doing very well indeed. How about you? I was just getting far too into that intro music. That's what I was doing. I wanted to
Quite
continue,
catchy,
but
isn't it? It's really catchy.
very
Isn't it?
catchy. Yeah, I don't know where we found
Yeah.
that. I don't know who that is. Is that like Nigel playing that? Sean Calvert? I'm not sure. Riffing
I think
away.
the credit, I think, has to go to our graphics man, John, who does some great
Is it?
work behind the scenes, actually. Shout out to John,
Yeah.
not just for that, but for the graphics as well.
Hi, John.
But yeah, welcoming everyone. Hope you're doing really well this Friday and looking ahead to the weekend. We're going to be here to talk about a bunch of soccer games today, including Bundesliga, Serie A. We've got Lyon playing against Strasbourg, and we're going to get Jack Wright's view on the big English Championship game today involving Queen's Park Rangers. If you're in live chat, do pop in and say hello. And any questions or any comments, do feel free to add them. Faddy's in there. Who got destroyed by Real yesterday? I mean, that was a big shock. For a minute, I thought Las Palmas winless since the 10th of February, were going to get a shock victory. But they've already dropped two draws now, Real Madrid, in La Liga. And, on the next show, perhaps the outright La Liga market does need to be talked about. But going to go straight into some bets for today. And we've got two games that we're going to talk about. First of all, we've got Luton against Queen's Park Rangers in the Championship. And I'm going to start with Lyon against Strasbourg in the French League tonight. And I've got some of the big questions I've been asked in the last 2 weeks, Jack, is what has happened to Lyon, because everyone was betting on Lyon back into last season, and they were winning a lot of money on Lyon. They were like what you might call a cash cow, as we sometimes say over here. But they started badly, 2 defeats. They only had 0.01 XG against Monaco last week.
That's not good, is it?
Terrible. So I'm going to start. I'm going to give my opinion on this game. And I was quite bullish about Lyon. I bet on them on some outright bets I've played up. I said that there'd be a good shout for the top 3, top 4. But at the minute, they don't look anything like that. Things can change over the season. I might be proven right over the course of 34 games. But right now, I think they're very opposable, and they're playing against Liam Rossinia's Strasbourg tonight. I'm going to ask you about Rossinia in a minute, but at the minute, I just don't see how you can bet on Lyon on a money line minus 127 based on what we've seen the first 2 weeks. They need a result. The pressure's on them. They started last season bad as well, remember? So this might not be a good spot for them. They've got to find something offensively. Let's see what the 11 is. But I think the value tonight is actually with a draw double chance with Strasbourg or tie, minus 106. For those who want to be a bit brave, a bit safer, you could try the Asian handicap plus 0.75 at minus 127. You only lose half your bet there if Strasbourg lose by 1 goal. And recent meetings have been quite close, actually. I think most of the last 6 have been decided by 1 goal, or there's been a few draws as well. Coupe de France, I think, went to penalties last year after a 0-0 draw. But I was looking at the stats for Liga, Jack, and after 2 games played, it's a very early sample size. But Strasbourg are 4th on average possession. And that is what Rossinia is known for. That's what he was known for at Hull. And immediately, even though, Strasbourg are not the greatest squad in the world, he's only going to play one way here, isn't he, in France?
Yeah, that's what he is about. When you said you were going to ask me about him, I had a quick kind of think of how I'd describe him, and he certainly is a possession-based coach. The main reason Hull got rid of him was because he was just too slow in possession. So you are a much better judge of a Ligue 1 than myself, but it'd be interesting to see potentially where that possession is and where those passes are. It might well be a lot of kind of pass into nothing as such, keeping the ball with no intent. So the reason, say, Hull, they got rid of him, he did a decent job there as far as results and league position was concerned, but they just wanted something a bit more exciting to watch. So obviously Strasbourg have had Patrick Vieira in charge, so maybe they don't mind so much.
I think with Hull City, it's a shocking decision. I think he did absolutely fine there. I know expectations were high. I think it's I was a bit sceptical when Strasbourg first hired him, I must say, because they could be, and someone just put in there in the chat, Benjamin, about the low needs that they have from Chelsea. Of course, they're now owned by Chelsea, whatever you want, Emporium, whatever you want to call it. I think there's going to be all sorts of dodgy dealings going on there, but they will have access to Chelsea players on loan or whatever. It's not the worst.
And if you want a club where there's a bit of spare cloth to cut from, then Chelsea is that club, isn't it? With a 173-man squad that they've got at the moment, which needs to be trimmed down. So
there's going to be ample opportunity for Strasbourg and Rossinia. I don't think you can knock him tactically or technically for his what he wants. I think he's a bit nice, a bit of a nice guy as a manager. He's an arm around the shoulder sort of coach, isn't he? Which might work.
Yeah, he is.
Might work, might not work. If times get hard, then it might be more difficult for him. But at the minute, I like what I saw last week against Rennes. Beat Rennes 3-1. That's a good win. He sharpened them up from set pieces already. I think they can come here and get a result and at least avoid defeat. And I don't think he's the sort of coach who's just going to come here and park the bus or anything, be happy for a 0-0 draw. He'll try and play the game a bit. I remember when they came to Leeds last year, they had a good go. Might have easily beat Leeds on another day. We needed a late goal to beat them, I think. So I think definitely Strasbourg's a sight to be on here. And Benjamin agrees with that. Draw no bet on Strasbourg. A few liking both teams to score yes in this game as well. Hello to Theo. Hello to Henry VIII.
I wonder where he's gone. I tell you what, with Lyon, I say it was last season, wasn't it? Like you mentioned earlier, that they were decided to fade. They just couldn't buy a win last season. It was at the start. They looked in relegation trouble for a large part, wasn't it? So
Lyon went through quite a lot of managers last year, and then they've stuck on PSR, who did a great job. I thought they'd kick on here, but they just haven't looked right. Do you know, you can just tell the teams, I don't know what it is, maybe the off-season, there's a few transfers here and there. The change of goalkeeper is a big thing. Don't underestimate that. Anthony Lopez.
How much is... No, Lacazette's obviously their main man up front. He was scoring week in, week out last season, and he obviously was at the Olympics. So that's going to be... He's not had much of a summer, has he? So I wonder how he's feeling about going into this new campaign. Is he a bit jaded? So I think you're right. I think there's ample opportunity there tonight to get involved in Strasbourg, especially with the double chance on side. And as you say, Rossini was linked with a lot of the decent jobs, certainly in the Championship, in and around that. So I think he was going to get one eventually, but obviously Strasbourg nipped in first, and it's a great job for him, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, talking of decent managers, let's move on to the second game now, because I quite rate both managers actually in this match tonight. Luton Town against Queen's Park Rangers, Rob Edwards against Martí Cifuentes. Cifuentes, a coach I followed for many years, and I do actually think both are destined eventually to get Premier League jobs. But it's not been a good start for either team this season. Only 3 games gone. I think I probably was a bit higher on QPR than what certain people were. Luton, I think. Everyone sort of sees them in the top 6, and that look, there's early days, long way to go. That may well, change in time. There's been a bit of money for the under 2.5 goals. Is a bit of a nibble in the last hour or two for this game. I don't know why. I think the weather's fine down London. Both teams have got decent offensive weapons. They haven't necessarily been scoring the goals, so that might explain it. Jack, Luton Town -124. Are they a good thing or not tonight?
I've backed them to win. I took them earlier in the week. Nigel's literally just commented here, which is a worry because I'm now going to slag QPR off his side. So if you don't see me again, you'll know why. But no, I think, say Luton, I was disappointed with. I thought they'd be the side that could transition back to the Championship easily enough. They kind of recruited last season on the basis of they were likely to come back down and then they'll be able to hit the ground running, but they've not really brought anything extra in. They've lost a couple as well, but they've still got more than enough talent in that side to go and score goals. There's a couple of things that I'd point out. I think they've got the biggest, as far as their expected goals and their expected points they've picked up. They've got the biggest differential as far as what they've actually picked up this season. So they've created a lot of chances. They've taken a lot of attempts at goal, and they've missed some good chances as well. They also had a man sent off, the goalkeeper sent off in the against Portsmouth. So that's going to have an impact as well. And obviously we are very early days, but there does seem a little bit of a funk about them in a moment. But at the Kenny, their home ground, you would expect they're going to kick into gear at some point in time. I think the manager's too good and the players for this level are too good just to not do that. And there's a big opportunity tonight because say QPR in the same boat. They've drawn a couple, lost one. They've not got off to the best start either. So I think it's there for them tonight. And I think Luton will win. But close game.
And we've got a comment there. Nigel Seeley is watching from New York. Come with the hour. He thinks Luton win. Almost even is a big price, says Nigel. And Nigel was on Alcaraz losing in the US Open. I woke up to that news and rather stunned actually by the favourite for the tournament got knocked out in the second round of the US Open. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
That's incredible. Not three low either. That's
looking at the historical odds for this game, right? I think you could have got oh crikey! How do you pronounce this guy? Van der Zandschlup.
Exactly right, Steve. You've nailed it in one. I saw his handicap at the start of the game. I think it was plus 11.5 games you could get on.
3-0.
And 3-0. Yeah.
So he was 30. I reckon on the exchanges you could have got about 30 to 1, 33 to 1 on him just winning the game on the money line. What price was 3-0? That's got to be like hundreds.
You could have named it probably. You could have probably named it. Yeah.
That's got to be. I mean, I'm trying to think of another shock in all sports or this year. I mean, that's huge.
If you'd had doubled nearly, that's Las Palmas with your man. Then you'd have been loving life, yeah. But massive shock. So I'll have to think about a bigger one than that.
There was actually a notable wager that lost on that game with Bet Rivers yesterday, $26,000. Someone bet on Carlos Alcaraz minus 8.5 games live. I mean, that's fair to say that one went well in smoke, didn't it?
He was going to dig deep and come back. Did not happen.
But normally, these big players, these top players, do come back into the game. So I can see the logic perhaps in someone backing on that handicap live.
Well, talking of big players, Steve, Nigel's piped up again here. He's gone with the other big guy here, Djokovic, and he's tipping him to struggle as well. So maybe there's something in the water at the moment. So we're seeing a few shocks coming up. So there's another one for you.
But you listen to Nigel on the show when he was on this week. He said that there's a lot of the top. He wanted to oppose the top male tennis players at this tournament. It was, there was a tough year, grueling year. Basically, question marks about a lot of them, and he was kind of proven. Well, he was proven right there with Alcaraz. Nigel put up a tweet on X. Do check out the X feed on that because we win. I think it was about 2.5-minute video of him there in New York. Some great sights. Behind him, he gave his best bets of the day in the tennis. Peyton Stearns, plus 110 with Bet Rivers in the women's, was Nigel's best bet given in that video. But do check it out if you've got a moment. Only 2 minutes long. But we've got some great US Open content on YouTube next week. As I said yesterday, we have got the live show debut of the senior WTA handicapper Rory Giovanni. He's going to be on Monday. Me and Rory Giovanni on Monday, and he's also going to be on with Dan Roebuck. Dan Roebuck's going to be making his debut, presenting the live show as well.
What a week! What a week!
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to next week on the live show here. So. And Nigel,
more love for Strasbourg. James Tan's come in saying Strasbourg on the money line. He's gone more bullish than you, Steve.
I'd say Strasbourg are starting to become a bit of a public dog here, aren't they? It didn't surprise me though. Doesn't surprise me at all because of the way. And now I'm starting to think: is it an overreaction? Like you can get these early season overreactions, can't you?
But not scored yet, Lyon, have they? But lost both games to 0 so far.
So
convincingly too.
Nigel thinks one better wagered $500 on Van der Zandschlup at 16 to 1. That's a nice winner, isn't it? It's a very nice winner.
It wasn't me, unfortunately, in the words of Shaggy.
Someone was in the know there. Just want to go back to this Luton game, Jack. I don't actually. What's your best bet for the game? Best bet?
Well, I have my money's on Luton to win. I have done that. So, but as far as something fresh for this content's concerned, I've gone with Luton to have shots in this one. So the line's 14.5. It was when I last checked. Is it still the same? Don't know if you can furnish me with that information.
14.5 minus 1.0. Yeah, here we go. Minus 1.06 over 14.5 Luton Town shots.
Yeah, one of the factors they've had this season is say they have been creating plenty of chances and not putting them away. So there's a couple of anomalies in their season so far. Against Portsmouth, they only had 9. They had a man sent off after about half an hour, and it was the goalkeeper. So that was a problem. But they had 17 when they visited Preston, and also there's a direct form line to draw against QPR in midweek. They played in a cup game. and they had 21 shots against QPR there. So QPR have conceded 16 at a lower tier side in Cambridge, 14 against Sheffield United, who took the lead after 2 up after about 13 minutes. So, I fancy Luton to try and look. There's a lot of noise around Luton not performing at the moment. They'll know that. They want to put a statement out there. It's a live TV game in the UK. It's the special Friday night game. So under the lights eventually at the Kenny. Big atmosphere there, tight, compact ground. And I think so they want to put a show on. And they've got their players, their main strikers are still in the club. Transfer deadline day today, so I haven't checked in the last 10 minutes, but they were when I last looked. I think they will stay there. And Alfie Doughty as well, who's a wicked deliverer of a set piece.
I think tee to green in golfing terms. Luton have been very good this year from what I've been told. They're creating the chances. They're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. And there's quite a lot of teams in England right now who fit the same mould. Like Middlesbrough, me and you were talking about that last night. I think it could be a lack of rhythm early in the season. Last year, it was maybe a bit of an anomaly. The goals were flying in very, very early. This season, it just seems teams are struggling to get that rhythm going, certainly in England. And it is still early days on the continent as well. Got some questions here coming in about the Inter Atalanta game. We're going to talk about that soon. We've got a parlay, a 4-leg parlay that me and Jack have come up with today, which we are going to talk about. But after we've done all the games, the next match we are going to discuss is in the Bundesliga, a league I know that you have taken a close eye on in the last year or so, Jack. You like a bit of Friday night fun here. Union Berlin against St. Pauli, a newly promoted team. Union Berlin -110 now on the money line. There was a bit of money for the under 2.5 goals briefly this afternoon, but the line's now come back again. It's quite a stable line. St. Pauli have drifted to +310, the newly promoted side here. I mean, if I actually had a lean here myself, it would be on Union Berlin. I just think the gulf between them and St. Pauli, newly promoted, lost against Heidenheim last week. That really doesn't go down well for me. My favourite team, Heidenheim. They didn't deserve to lose. You'll be shocked to hear, but they did lose. And I think that's bad form early on. Union Berlin should win this, really. -110. I quite like the goals as well. I highlighted Union. I've got a new coach this year who's quite offensive minded. The overs didn't cash last week in the Mainz game. There should have been more than 2 goals. But what do you think about this one, John? I know you've got quite a strong lean for this one.
I have, yeah. Be careful talking about my Friday night fun. We are live. Do remember that, Steve, please, before we go any further. But Union Berlin, it's a strange one, isn't it? Like 2 seasons ago, they finished 4th in Bundesliga, qualified for the Champions League. And last season, that kind of had a real bad impact on them. They were a train wreck at the start of the campaign, weren't they? I think they won their first 2, but they went on a horrendous run and lost loads. So ended up with the manager leaving, despite taking them to the dizzy heights of the Champions League the season before. So, Bo Svensson is the man in the dugout now, isn't he? He's come in this season. So played Mainz in the opening round, got a draw there. Which not a bad result away from home, and they'll target this one against, as you say, a newly promoted side to get a win on the board. And I think they will. Yeah, I think they will. They've got a good record at the start of the season, and also a very good record against newly promoted sides. I wrote a stat about this during the week, and I'm trying to frantically find it now. But it's very impressive over the course of the last few seasons. Both those things go in favour. But I think goals in this one, I'd guess that the money has gone for unders or went for unders purely because there was a couple of sides, only a couple of games that went unders in Bundesliga last season. We know Bundesliga is a strong league for goals. It was second only to Premier League last season as far as goals per game is concerned. And it went off to a flyer this season as well. 3.33 goals per game across Bundesliga. And miles clear of next best up, which was Liga 2.72.
Oh, the XG charts were through the roof as well, Jack. There could have been even more goals.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like it's kicked off crazily.
Well, one of the ones you mentioned, Heidenheim, was one of the unders, wasn't it? Is also, there's only 3 teams who didn't score. So it shows you the amount of goals swashing around all the sides in there. And so you've got a bit of an outlier in Heidenheim who seemed to kind of get some freak results going on. So they kept a clean sheet, but probably conceded one of the highest XGs there was. So, I think goals is in this one because I think both these sides also will target this as a game they can get a win from. So that normally then means, of course, that you're going to get an open game and you're going to get goals at both ends. So both teams to score. overs. I like the overs because you can back it. Normally in Germany, you have to put two things together. You either have to go 2.5 goals and both teams to score, or you have to go to 3.5 or even 3.75 goals to get a decent odds on it. The odds here at this moment in time, you can back a straight over 2.5 goals bet, which I do like.
Yes, I would agree with the over here. I think St. Pauli created enough last week. They can possibly get on the scoreboard, but I'm expecting Union Berlin to score at least 2 goals themselves here. So I would go home win and over 2.5 goals. A few quite liking BTTS in the chat here. Sushil Achiara also likes the over 2.5 Union Berlin St. Pauli. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes watching that game this evening. I just sense there's a lot of popularity with the Bundesliga at the minute. And,
I think so, mate. I make you right. I think it's because of the goals. You normally get a promise of goals. You know, there was 2 games I had to feature last week, and they both ended 3-2. So it's as simple as that. Sometimes you can just do I know you mentioned Luton as one of your teams before. You can do a bit of a blind play where you go, do you know what?
Yeah.
I can play on this at this moment in time and not really have to dig in too much into it, and it pops. And I think over 2.5 goals, both teams to score is a very popular play in Germany, in the Bundesliga. These two have met, by the way, 20 times in the top 2 tiers of German football, and they've produced 66 goals. I'm not massive on historical stats, but when you got one that kind of really stands out, that's an average of 3.3 per game. So 14 of those 20 meetings they've had between each other have been over 2.5 goals. So history on its side, and also I think it's a bit of modern, current stats as well to back it up.
On to Serie A then. There's 2 matches this evening. Venezia against Torino and Inter against Atalanta. Most of the attention will be on the Inter game later. But I can tell you now, the biggest move of the day on all these games that we've discussed, Jack, is actually in the Torino match. And there's a huge move for under 2.5 goals. Under 2.5 goals now is, say, minus 159. Earlier in the day, it was the odds were a lot bigger. So money for the under here in the Torino game. I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sure why that is the case. It could be to do with the weather conditions there. It could be quite hot, I think. This is an earlier kickoff. This is a 12:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. So local, I think it's 5:30. I've not really seen enough of either side to actually give a proper... I can't give a bet out for this game, Venezia-Torino. Inter Atalanta, though, I think that's going to be a cracking game. I really like... I know this is a bit of a boring play, but minus 167 on over 2.5 goals is going to be my advice here. I just think over 2.5, minus 167. Inter have got a lot of goals in them. Atalanta generally play one way, and it's pretty offensively. They will quite happily get sucked into like a shootout. And I think you could look at BTTS as well, really, potentially. I think Atalanta have got enough firepower about them. So that would be my play here. It's actually minus 175 now. There has been money for the over. And the 4-leg parlay that we are going to advise on this show today, it pays 10-1 as this parlay. And it might go up on the special side on BetRivers. Not sure yet, but if not, then you can do it manually here. And we start with Lyon against Strasbourg. Strasbourg double chance. Then we go to the Luton.
Have you seen the comment from Mr. Roebuck? Mr. Roebuck is in the building.
I haven't seen the comment yet.
And he's asked, will Zaha make any difference at Lyon?
I've not seen is that a new transfer today? I've not actually seen what's going on there. Is this like sort of live on air? Whatever. But
tell us more, Dan.
I don't know. Is there another Zaha? But anyway, we've got over 14.5 Luton Town shots. That's one of your selections.
Yeah.
Over 2.5 goals, Union Berlin, St. Pauli. I think we both agree on that, to be fair. And then over 2.5 goals in Inter Atalanta. That's 10-1 plus 1060.
Yeah.
So combine those 4 together, as I say, Strasbourg double chance, over 14.5 Luton shots, over 2.5 goals, Union Berlin, St. Pauli, over 2.5 goals, Inter against Atalanta. So that can be a bit of interest for you. A big price. Do a big wager if you want as well.
What a way to start a weekend.
I know. FA says both teams to score yes in Venezia, which would perhaps go against that money for the under. Sorry,
There's
but
been a bit of
was 1-1.
recent history. Sorry, Steve. There's been a bit of recent history. Torino's last 5 competitive games have seen an early goal, which obviously, as we know, if there's an early goal in the game, they'll sometimes mean it opens up and there's overs becomes a big play because obviously at least one side's chasing it. Their last 5, they've seen an opening goal inside the first half hour. So maybe if you want that run to continue, have a little look at the first half goals market with Bet Rivers, either pre-play or in-play.
I've just got to plug a couple of shows that are now released on the channel. The Premier League show with Jack Wright, Nigel Seeley, Dan Roebuck. I had a good watch of that this morning. Some great content, some interesting comments already. It seems you've riled up some Wolves fans with certain comments already, Jack.
Disturbed the pack.
So Wolves fans not too happy with that video, and the didn't actually realise it, but the European preview show is now out with myself, James Eastham, Dan Roebuck. Plenty of fun we had on that this week. I was even away from screen for about 30 seconds at one point in the video to get a parcel, and it wasn't edited out. Okay. So I put it on the I put both links on the chat there if you've not watched them already. But just a quick one before we go. If you had to have one best bet for the weekend card in Premier League, what are you going to go with?
Well, it's the best bet that I said in the show. Do you want a different one, or do you want that one? Because that's
you might have changed your mind since we're recording. So as of now, what is your best bet? The same one.
The same one. They'll need to watch it, but
you got to watch the show.
Same one. Got to watch the show. Yeah, that is the best.
I do believe it is in the Midlands derby between Aston Villa and Leicester City. So you have to watch the show. Jack's not giving anything away. I watch things. Right, so let's get some wagers here today that I'm going to tell you about as we head into the weekend. The biggest soccer bet so far is actually on Union Berlin draw double chance, nearly $3,000 on that one tonight against St. Pauli. But I expect most of the money for the soccer does come in the last hour or two when the team news comes in.
Yeah,
there was a significant golf bet today actually on Rasmus Højgaard. Best score in his group at plus 400, $6,000. Don't know if that won or lost, actually. I need to have a look at that. That's the biggest golf.
You carry on, I'll have a look.
That we've ever had since doing these live shows. And there's a big bit of money on Paula Badosa as well, minus 500 on the tennis on the money line to win today. Yesterday, not a good day for Real Madrid backers. I mentioned on the show there was a lot of money for Real Madrid. I think at least 40,000 was lost, probably more. But there was that big 16,000 wager on Real Madrid on the money line, which went down in smoke for one particular bettor. The Alcaraz bet, which I mentioned, 26,000 was a loser. And 30,000 on San Jose State versus Sacramento. Live bet on the under. That went down in smoke as well. So this was not a good day for the bettors yesterday, Jack. So they've got to bounce back today with some
Glad I was busy yesterday.
That concludes it for
hey, Shakespeare's come in. Come on, you can't leave him. Shakespeare's coming. He's joined Henry VIII, and we've got Shakespeare with a baseball
we have
bet.
Some brilliant
what a way to end it.
There we go. Chicago Cubs, Washington Nationals, game over 8 runs.
Ooh, that's over 8 runs.
Well, obviously that's why he's going on the over, isn't he? Because or she or whatever. But it's. I just want to say thanks everyone for your great support this week. Not just on the live shows, but on all the recordings for tennis, for the soccer. As we head into the weekend, it's some great content on the channel at the minute. And thanks very much for all your likes and any new subscribers as well. Hope you're really enjoying the content. Feel free to leave a comment whenever you want on any of the videos or live. And we'll be back on Monday. Like I said, a full week of Betting Weekly live next week. Roy Giovanni's making his debut on the show. Dan Roebuck's going to be presenting towards the end of the week. I think we've got Nigel Seeley due on after he comes back from New York on one of the days. And I think we've got James Eastham as well next Friday. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the schedule. But
I'm on.
Yeah. You on as well. It's going to be international soccer. We're going to have a lot of fun with some around the world sort of bets next week. But hey, wishing you a great weekend, Jack, and cash some of a lot of those winners.
And you, yeah, and I totally agree. The content that's coming out of the channel at the minute is superb. I love these live shows. It's great that we've got people posting lots of comments. That makes the show what it is, doesn't it? Because you'll be able to react to that. And also on our videos, it is really nice that even people disagree with us. I love it when we can get into a little bit of debate about people talking about why we're talking a load of rubbish. But and there are ones that support us as well, saying that they totally agree. So no, all that is fantastic stuff. Keep them coming, and thanks very much, everyone.
Yeah, my best bet today. Strasbourg on the double chance, -104. Your best bet today?
Well, I'll back Luton, like I said, so I'm going to go with Luton.
Luton Town on the money line. All right. Well, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and remember to gamble responsibly. But best of luck over the weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.